Welcome back, everybody. Todd here. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Today I'm out here in the shop and I'm going to do a couple of mods to my new 2024 Kawasaki KLX 300. If you're new to the channel, Laura and I picked up a couple of dual sport motorcycles to go along with our road bikes. We bought those in late November. We've been actively trying to get these motors broken in, and I just did a video on break-in and first service, so I'll put a link in the description to that. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of mods on this KLX to make things a little more comfortable for me. So come on with me and let's jump into these mods. You can see I got a pretty full shop this winter. I got my KLX over there, and we've got Laura's CRF 300L over there, tucked away behind the camper. We've got Laura's 1975 Honda CB 400F and a mini bike that we're going to be selling in the spring. The grandkids have just outgrown that. And then over here I've got my 2021 Harley Davidson Sport Glide. So definitely a pretty full shop this winter, but plenty of space to work, so let's go ahead and get after these mods. The first thing we're going to do is change out the seat. I went with the Seat Concepts lower profile seat. It should be a lot more comfortable on longer rides, and they purport to say that it could lower the bike as much as an inch for me. So we'll see. Either way, it's going to be a lot more comfortable than the stock seat. Let's take a look at that. Okay, this is the 2024 Kawasaki KLX 300. They've made a lot of changes to the looks of this bike between the 23 and 24 model year. If you look at the seat, you've got that green all down the side, and the fairings are definitely different. The styling of the front fender, everything's changed in 2024. So if you haven't compared the 2024 model changes to the 23, it's worth taking a closer look at, especially if you're in the market to buy a bike. A couple of things about this seat. Let's look at it from this direction. You know, the complaints are that it's narrow and it's a lot like riding on a 2x6, and you know, I've got over 600 miles on it, and I can tell you that it definitely is stiff. It makes for a long day of riding. I've done some pretty long rides where I've ridden it for, you know, almost 2 hours straight, and believe me, your butt starts to feel it. So I definitely wanted to upgrade this and go to a more comfortable seat. But something I want to show you, and I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up, and I've cleaned this today, but you can see kind of the scuff marks in here on this light green. And you know, that's just from riding 600 miles. And I ride in, you know, a pair of riding pants with armor in it, but you know, I shouldn't be scraping that up. And of course, if that's a black seat, you're never going to see that. But with that light green like that, I'm going to just go ahead and call it that the complaints as time goes on about this seat is that green's going to be all scuffed up on it. So just something to keep in mind if you are buying this model, that I'm not sure how long that seat's going to stay looking good. Either way, so the first things first, we got to go ahead and pop this off. You got a couple of 8mm bolts, one right there on that side. You've got another one over here, and then that seat should pop right out of there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and I'll be back. Okay, I've removed the 8mm bolts, got them in a magnetic pan, and now I'm gonna continue on, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull off this little tail bag that they have on there for the toolkit. Today I'm going to also be putting on a rack, a tail rack on the bike. So while I'm here, I may as well go ahead and pop that off. So if you're not aware, there's 5 bolts that drop through your fender on this thing. And let's take a look at the underside. Okay, the light's not great, but you can see what I'm talking about. You get under here, you're gonna have these 2 bolts back here. Those are for the seat. Those have nothing to do with this. Back here you've got 4 bolts, and only 2 of them, these 2 back here, stay away from the one in the plate. Just those 2 right there drop through. Those other 2 bolts from up top don't go all the way through. So I've taken a wet rag, cleaned that off. Those are 10 millimeter. So I'm gonna be going ahead and taking those out. Okay, we've got this loose, pretty simple. As it turned out, the long ones that go in here, that drop through the back here, it is a 10 millimeter on the back side, but I didn't even have to do anything. I just used a ratchet and they came right out. I ultimately put my hand through there and just caught the nut. So no big deal there. And then these front ones, again, they don't go through very far, but you can see they have a nice sleeve in there, a threaded sleeve that they go into. So there's that. So this is completely loose now. I'll remove it and just kind of keep moving with the installation of my rack. Okay, so I went ahead and popped off the side panel here. If you're not familiar with how that's going to work, you've got this right here. Yeah, let's see the autofocus. That kind of slips up onto there. There's this hole, see that? And then there's the hole there. Though that whole apparatus just kind of fits together. You've got a bolt up here at the top and you got another bolt at the bottom, both 8 millimeters. Once you get that off, you have access to the strap. So you got to get that strap off there if you're going to get your seat off. So I'm going to remove the strap with the new seat. It's not going back on anyhow. Even if I was going to keep the stock seat, I would get rid of that strap because it hits you right about where you want to scooch back if you're going to be riding in the seat for any kind of road time. So just keep that in mind. All right, we'll get that strap off there. We'll do the same thing on the other side and then we'll be back. Strap's off. I just had to take on the other side, I didn't have to pull that all the way off. Just loosen it up enough so you can get your wrench. You can just pull that down a little bit, get your wrench in there and remove it from there. And then obviously right there. So strap is off and I'll save that for later. Here's your air breather, you know, for your air cleaner. Got your battery obviously. Yeah, not a bad idea. Just take a minute and get familiar with what's under here once you've got it kind of taken apart. So, all right, I'm gonna keep moving. There's my stock seat next to the Seat Concepts seat. So up top, they're pretty much identical. When you get down here, the further back you come, you can see that the Seat Concepts tapers out and it widens up. That way, if you're going to be using the bike for an adventure bike or really even a true dual sport bike where you're going to be doing pavement as well as trails, man, when you're on the pavement, you can scooch back a little bit and have a comfortable ride, and that makes a big difference. So let's go ahead and get it on the bike and see what it looks like. I guess before we put it on the bike, let's take a look at the underside. Really pretty much identical. You know, you've got your slot up there. Here you go there. Come back here. Yeah. All the same contact points. Nothing really different. There's the seat set in place. It's a perfect fit. I can tell just by pressing on it, it's going to have a bit more cush to it. But we'll go ahead and switch now, because that's for the most part done. All I really need to do is put the bolts in and that seat swapped out. So we're going to go ahead and switch gears now and go to the KEMI Moto rear rack. Here's the rack that we're going to install today. It's from a company called KEMI Moto, pretty well known. Got it off of Amazon. Man, this is a very solid rack, that much I can tell you for sure. Excellent set of instructions, all the hardware we need to pop that thing on. So let's go over the bike and get started. We've got our rack all ready to go. You've got spacers that fit inside of those holes right there. That's going to keep the rack up off of the back fender. So it's pretty simple. You're going to pop those right in there where it goes into the seat. That is going to sit right on the bottom of the frame here, and then you're going to drop a couple of bolts through there. So let's go ahead and get these pinned together and set in place, and then we'll be back. Okay, here's the problem that I ran into. No problem getting these in. They give you this spacer. Directions say to drop it through. Then put this down. They give you a bolt to drop through there and a nut to come underneath. The problem is, that's sitting right on my fender. The only fix for it is to take the part that came out of there and drop it and actually bore a hole out. If you look at the hole, the original piece doesn't go through the hole. The original piece keeps the bottom of that little pack that goes on the back, keeps it up off of the fender. Well, I went ahead and drilled out a hole to drop this through. Hang on, it'll fit. So there. Now you can put your spacer in there. I'll put the spacer in and be back. Okay, I'm back. So doing it the way that I did it, you got plenty of room now, and it actually comes flat off of the back of the profile. The problem is the bolts that they've supplied are now too short to go all the way through and catch that down below. Just to be clear on what's going on. So there's the standard hole that was in there. If you drop that thing in there, look how close that is. I mean, you got about less than 1/4 of an inch. So what I've done, you can see this is the part that was in there before, but if I take that part and I stick it down there, the hole that's down there is not made for this to drop through. But you need something to keep this from going down, way down in the hole. So the perfect solution is to just drill that out to the same size as this, let that drop in, and it rests right here. And then your bolt can go right down the center just the way it's supposed to go, and it fits just fine. So that, let me give you the size on that drill bit. That's a 13/32 drill bit. So I'm going to go ahead, stick that down in there, ream that hole out, and then I'll show you that this will fit right in there. Okay, and just like that, fits through just fine. Do yourself a favor, put a plastic bag down there, catch all those metal shavings so that you don't have that stuff landing right on top of your tire. That's not going to be any good. So all my metal shavings have been caught, so I'll be able to clean that up now. So, okay, so now all I got to do is put that in place. Okay, so I've got both the seat and the rack on. Show you what I did with the rack. You know, like I said, I went and got some 1/4 inch carriage bolts, 3 inch long, and I put some washers on there to displace the weight that might be put on there. Then I'll come around and show you underneath. So there's what you got underneath there, and it seems nice and sturdy. I mean, I can lift the whole bike up with it. Honestly, doesn't look bad. The carriage bolts were the answer, but the right answer is that KEMI Moto needs to supply longer spacers. That's the bottom line. But I do like the seats. It comes right off the seat and follows the same profile. I've got lots of room to get my hand under there for running straps, or even using this. If you drop the bike, they'll grab it and lift it up. The seat concepts looks good. I did measure it. I would say that it has lowered that seat height by, you know, more than a half an inch. Probably closer to 3/4 of an inch to an inch, but I'll do another follow-up on that. So for right now, it's pretty mild here in Michigan, and I'm gonna go for a ride. Well, that's going to be a wrap for this video. I appreciate you tagging along. Do me a favor and hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you on the next one.